back to my Mental Health and Crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for educational purpose only. This is the case of the Idaho quadruple murders. Most of us would remember this young woman from Pennsylvania who was a good friend of Brian Christopher Kohberger. I remember going through this in the beginning of the quadruple murders, and I'm really happy that I found it. Pay attention to this young woman, what she says about Brian.
To search, it just gives me like broken photos, and I'm sure I had more pictures with him because, again, I did a lot with him. We hiked a mountain by my parents' house together. He mentioned that in one of the messages I had with him. Again, I'm so sorry if this is really fast. I don't really know what to say. Pictures. I'm sure I have plenty from MySpace days, but for some reason I cannot get onto my MySpace. When I click to search, it just gives me like broken photos, and I'm sure I had more pictures with him because, again, I did a lot with him. We hiked a mountain by my parents' house together. He mentioned that in one of the messages I had with him. Again, I'm so sorry if this is really fast. I don't really know what to say.
She said that she hiked in the mountains near her parents' house with Brian Christopher Kohberger. The reason I find this important is if we go according to Brian Christopher Kohberger's alibi, he enjoys hiking, running, and stargazing. But I wanted to talk about the hiking part. This is a close friend of Brian Christopher Kohberger. And if she says that she's been hiking with him near her parents' house, that proves that he likes going hiking. The second thing that I personally believe is Brian did have friends, female friends, and she felt safe to go hiking with him. Why would someone who has a PhD degree want to go and unlive 4 people that he doesn't know?
With him because, again, I did a lot with him. We hiked a mountain by my parents' house together. He mentioned that in one of the messages I had with him. Again, I'm so sorry if this is really fast. I don't really know what to say.
Well, Nicole, we're starting to get a better picture of Brian Kohberger through online and other records, but also from someone who says that he knew Kohberger, our affiliate in Pennsylvania, speaking with a man who says that some years ago he ran with Kohberger on a regular basis. Listen to his reaction to the news that Kohberger was arrested and charged for these murders in Moscow, Idaho.
I used to go on night runs with him because, I didn't want to go. I used to go on night runs with him because, I didn't want to go running at night by myself. So I would text him, hey, you want to go for a run? We'd go for 6-7 mile runs at night. So, when I saw what it was, I was just in, complete shock. I'm still kind of, shaking knowing about that. It's just unreal to think somebody could actually do that for somebody. It's absolutely, mind-boggling. My adrenaline's still kind of running after finding information out. So, just, I feel for the families, and I'm just happy justice can be served now, so. Go on night runs with him because, I didn't want to go. I used to go on night runs with him because, I didn't want to go running at night by myself. So I would text him, hey, you want to go for a run? We'd go for 6-7 mile runs at night. So, when I saw what it was, I was just in, complete shock. I'm still kind of, shaking knowing about that. It's just unreal to think somebody could actually do that for somebody. It's absolutely, mind-boggling. My adrenaline's still kind of running after finding information out. So, just, I feel for the families, and I'm just happy justice can be served now.
This young man from Pennsylvania says clearly that he used to go running or jogging with Brian Christopher Kohberger at night for at least 7 hours. For me, I believe that Koberger had a pattern of being out at night, whether it was hiking, running with a person, a friend. So could his alibi possibly be true?
I went to college with Bryan Koberger. I've been looking at his picture all day. I've been saying the name all day in my head, and I was like, I know this guy. I know this guy. And then he went to DeSales University. I'm like, I know I had a class with him. I know it. I know it. The name sounds so familiar, and he looked very familiar, but I couldn't put a point on it. And he lost so much weight. When I knew him, he was a pudgy guy. He was really friendly. He led my biology project at DeSales University, and he was a pretty smart guy, and he was interested in criminal justice, and I remember having classes with him, and for this guy to do that is beyond me. I mean, he was a really nice guy, and he does not look like that nice guy anymore. I mean, the guy that I'm seeing on the news looks like a cold-blooded killer. The guy that I went to college with, that dude was nice. He was a nice guy. We studied criminal justice together. He was a really nice guy. And I'm devastated and heartbroken that I knew this guy and that he did this. I'm devastated for those families. I never thought that it would be someone close to home from the Lehigh Valley at DeSales University. And here is the biology project. And from 2018, we were studying daphnia. And there he is, and he led this project. 11/16/18. Now, I want to make it clear. This was not a close friend. This was a guy I did a project with, and my first impression of him was, he's a little odd, but he's a nice guy, you know.
This young man did projects with Koberger in DeSales University. And you can hear him clearly saying he was a nice guy. People can change. Behaviors can change. But these are the people who knew him. So it doesn't make sense.
My brother was really good friends with him. My other friend, Brandon, was really good friends with him. I'm going to have a picture of him with him on the green screen as well. I'm shaking still. But anyway, let me show you. This is Brandon, that I was just talking about. It's his wife, Brianna, and that's me. This was back in 2017. Obviously, that's Brian. Still has the dead face that it's thighs. I don't know. But when I spoke to him back in 2017, he was clean. He was a heavy heroin user back in high school, and it was just nice to see the kid clean up. And at that time, he said he was doing security detail. I believe it was out of school is what he told me. But he seemed like he was better. Obviously, that wasn't true. Here's another picture from a party that we had at Brandon's house. That's Brian there. He used to be a bigger kid as well. But again, that's him. And then at the same wedding, I'm here, but he's back there. He was sitting at the same table as me and my mother. But he is back there enjoying a drink. I was sitting right next to him. We talked. He seemed fine. My mom sent me the old school yearbook. That was him. Bryan Koberger, that's him. He went to Pleasant Valley. Graduated with, I think, my friend Chris, a year younger than me. This is when he nonchalantly decided to make me drive him around the Poconos.
Someone else. Someone who had a strange encounter with Koberger before the killings. A woman has come forward and indicated that she went on a date with Bryan Koberger. Now this is 26-year-old Haley Willett. And she told the Daily Beast that she went on a date with Koberger in 2015 when she was in college. They met on Tinder, they went to the movies, and then after the movies, according to her, things got weird. She says he drove her back to her dorm, and she says, quote, he started being really pushy about coming up to her room, so she lets him up and said that while he was, quote, very polite and nice on the date, he, quote, completely changed gears. She said, quote, definitely felt uncomfortable when he decided he needed to wait outside of the bathroom for me. So she ends up pretending like she's throwing up in the bathroom, and he ultimately leaves. And then later on in the night, he messages her that she has good birthing hips, and they never speak again.
I was so lucky that I was never hurt, I was never raped by anyone I went on a Tinder date with. However, it could have been me. I could have been the one hurt. I could have been killed. I could have been raped. And I did not take any precautions to prevent that from happening to me. So I am very fortunate that none of that happened to me.
I find this to be interesting. This young woman dated Brian Christopher Kohberger just for one night. They got to know each other from Tinder. But you heard it clearly. She said that she wasn't injured. Nothing had happened to her. He just waited for her to come outside from the toilet and he left. If Brian Christopher Kohberger had intentions to kill or unalive people, my question is, wouldn't it have been much easier for him to do it in Pennsylvania? Because Pennsylvania doesn't have the death penalty. Why would he go to Idaho to unalive 4 people that he doesn't even know? Was Brian possibly the cleanup guy? Did DM and BF and some other people call him? Maybe to frame him. I believe that Brian Christopher Kohberger is odd. It could be from the side effects of the heroin. But that doesn't make him a person who unalives people. Now the next part I'm going to show is really important. I'm sure you must have heard this before. When Law and Crime knocked at the neighbor's door of Kohberger, and this is what they had to say.
Here on Sidebar, actually spoke with another one of Kohberger's neighbors too.
Did you ever hear anything up there or anything like that?
Yeah, we heard, we heard loud sound during the night.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah.
Not just once, and so it seemed like he's a night person, not do a lot of things during the day, but during night he's active.
Right.
To like clean the floor sometimes, vacuum. It's very loud sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's the thing, I keep telling the journalists and reporters, and that is what we heard from the upstairs.
Yeah. But it was just, he was a night person, vacuuming or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even sometimes in the bathroom wash and very late. It's not like what the regular time.
Yeah.
Very late night we were doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we got stopped, many times.
Did you ever ask him to quiet down or anything? Or?
I actually wanted, but I didn't try.
Yeah.
Once when I met him, we just say hello. I just want to say, could you please keep it quiet because we woke up during night and have kids in it. But I didn't do that. I think maybe because he just moved in August, maybe he needs time to get used to.
Sure.
So the neighbor's statements is important. Because she said he hoovers at night, he cleans his house at night. He's a night person. He's a night rider. And we know that he has hiked many times. He's a runner. He used to run 7 hours with the young man who was speaking to the reporters.
This theme of people who know Kohberger, let's finish it off with his classmates at Washington State University. So I'll say this is not, the 5th person to come out, but this is more a 5th account we'll talk about. So The Idaho Statesman interviewed 2 classmates, and they indicated that they had several classes with Kohberger and explained how Kohberger would talk during every class. He would participate, he was very vocal, he was social. Ben Roberts, a criminal justice grad student, said, quote, "He seemed gregarious and outgoing. That was really the only impression that I got. He was making the rounds."
And finally, I would like to talk about the research Brian Christopher Kohberger did in April 1st, 2022. He done it when he was at DeSales University. He was studying psychology. And I've seen that many people judge him for this research. But I personally believe that if this research was that bad, DeSales University wouldn't have granted it. Because at the end of the paper, it states that it's permitted by DeSales University. My name is Brian, and I'm inviting you to participate in a research project that seeks to understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime. In particular, the study seeks to understand the story behind your most recent criminal offense, with an emphasis on your thoughts and feelings throughout your experience. In the event your most recent offense was not one that led to a conviction, you may still participate. Additionally, surveys are included after the open-ended section as to best understanding your unique traits. The study should take about 15 to 20 minutes to fully complete. I wouldn't have done a research like that, but then again, everyone has their choice. So this young man, Brian Christopher Kohberger, was definitely interested in psychology. He wanted to know how the mind works, especially with criminals. It's kind of eerie, but when you think of it, he could have been conducting this research in psychology and in mind. In his thoughts, he was going to do the criminal justice education. And forensics deal with crime. So was it an innocent research that people are misjudging him for that? Or did he have unlivings in his mind? I wonder if he got how many people attended this research and if he still was in contact with them. Another thing that I find interesting is when it comes to DM's description of who she saw. She said a man was 5.11. Kohberger's around 6.2. So there's a complete difference with his height compared to the other people. Kohberger is not the only person who drives a white Hyundai Elantra. The police were searching for a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra, and he drives a 2015. There's a lot that doesn't add up. I want to know if this is Jack D, because it looks like him. And this was taken on the 13th of November. Wasn't he supposed to be sleeping? From the beginning of this case, there were certain people like Jack D, David Lott, David B, Hunter Johnson, a couple of them, I ain't pointing fingers towards them, but I would love to know the alibi that night. Hunter Johnson is important because he was the first person the surviving roommates called, and he was always at 1122 Kings Road. Jack was with Maddie and Kaylee that night at the Corner Club. So was Adam L. I wonder what Maddie told Adam. Could it have been something about Kaylee, that Kaylee has moved on? Maybe that she's dating another guy? And we knew that Kaylee was moving to Austin, Texas. Could this have affected Jack D. his plans? Perhaps, allegedly. The reason I always look at Jack D is because he had injuries, especially on his fingers. That was on his TikTok before he took it down. I'm interested in Jack D because the dog was not harmed. It could have been anyone who knew the dog. Why would Brian Christopher Koberger take a chance to go into a house full of people with a dog? And I find it interesting that the girls called Jack D 9 times on the whole, right before this happened. Because let's not forget, the proper timeline was between 3 to 4. And take into consideration that E's mother said 2 a.m. is the hardest time for them. I believe Stacy Chapin, because let's not forget, she did a private autopsy for her son. Why would he do a private autopsy? Is it because she didn't trust the police? Could it be allegedly that she didn't trust the process? Why were the other 3 victims, Maddie, Kaylee, and Xana, cremated? Was the injuries that bad? May they rest in peace. But these are questions we need to ask ourselves. Where was Jack D that night? What did Jack Showalter mean by saying, you know they're going to get you for that Maddie? What did Maddie say to Adam? Was this about money? Was this about love? Was it about jealousy? Was it a crime of passion? We've heard that Kaylee had the most injuries. Where was E and Xana that night? Do you all see a white pickup car parked near Jack D's house? I wonder if it was the same pickup truck that was driving towards the Corner Club. We've seen Jack D standing on top of the roof. His room is in the 2nd floor. Could he have just gone out from his room, climbed up the roof, jumped down and come to this house? He can clearly see Kaylee's room or veranda from his house. Why was Jack D ruled out the last? I find that to be strange. Wonder if this picture is Jack D and his white Hyundai Elantra. This person takes off the security camera. I wonder why. And this was 2 weeks after the unlivings. I wonder what this is about. What are they looking at? DM is a very important person. I wonder why she didn't call the police for 8 to 9 hours. Wasn't she scared to open her door thrice? She heard a man saying, "I'm here to help. It's going to be okay." She heard someone that sounded like Kaylee saying, "There's somebody here." Didn't you need to go to the toilet, DM? Because you locked yourself in a room. And I understand if you were in a frozen state of mind. But why wouldn't you call the police? And after 8 hours, you decided to call Hunter Johnson, his friend. What could he have done? Why did you call him? Why didn't you call the police? DM and BF had the whole crime scene to themselves before the police came in. What could she have possibly touched? Could she have touched the knife sheet? Could she have planted it there? According to BK, BF has exculpatory evidence. What does DM know? Maybe she didn't see anything. Maybe she was told to say that she saw something, allegedly. Make it make sense, DM.
I'm not sure if it's accurate, so people might look at that and take it to, based off of the records that we have, there could definitely be some questions on the timing of that.
Right. For sure, but I will just say, I can't verify the timestamp there, but I know for a fact that after they left the corner pub, they walked to the grub truck. It's about an 8-minute walk, so we need to factor that in. And then they ordered food. They were at the grub truck for about 10 minutes, and they didn't leave the grub truck until the Uber driver had arrived at 1:49. So if you work backwards, that timestamp doesn't match up.
That would suggest.
I don't know. I'm not going to say it's completely false or anything, or how false it is. I don't know. But I'm saying from the timeline that I know for a fact, working it backwards doesn't match that timestamp.
Gotcha. And it had just been daylight savings, so maybe they hadn't updated their cameras or something.
We are not going to go to bed.
I totally agree with Olivia. If you work the timelinings backwards, whichever way you work on it, it doesn't make sense. I've been saying this from the very beginning.